So let's go into your interview. I'll do some technological gymnastics.
Well, this will be fun to watch.
Okay, so let's see what Ross has to say here. That. And there we go. Look, seems like you'll probably all be able to see that. Everyone see that on their screen?
All right.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited. I'm glad that you are here because Ross Tayler, when we first talked, it was not a yes, and now it is. And so this is great to have you aboard. You are a coach, I know, a professional coach here in Squamish, BC, and you've been at that for quite a long time now. I know that you, when I go on LinkedIn and I see, when you comment on something, it's like, yes, has lots of experience in this, right? In the coaching realm. So I'm so happy to have you aboard. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be able to do this. And yeah, it was interesting that it was a no at first and now it's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually quite excited for today.
Happy. So I really, one of the big sort of cornerstones of what I'm wanting to communicate to people is that they have support out here in the community at large. Where a lot of the messaging is, doing and accomplishing and more, and really being measured by what we can do in a day, versus who we are. I wanted to put a message out there that self-care can be a win-win, and I wanted to have people in the community such as yourself, people that are peers in our fields, that really believe that and want to support people in putting their self-care at the top of the list. And so one of the ways I thought is to sort of share our stories, and I wanted to know about, for you, if there was a time that you decided, okay, self-care has to come first right now, that you've experienced, and sort of what happened when you faced maybe some of the hurdles, or what were the payoffs. Just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, so as we identified, I've been coaching since 2006, and I would say that as much as I've been coaching that whole time, my coaching practice has really been my growth and my learning at the same time as supporting others. And so, self-care and self-nurture was really on my awareness for years. And I guess that the humbling truth is that it was only about a year ago that I really came to see what that really meant. And so I talked about self-care and definitely practiced self-care, but there was this piece that I really didn't get, and I guess that was the embodiment piece. And the kind of backstory is that I was reading Gabor Mate, When the Body Says No, and I just had this knowing that there was something deeper that I had to do, and that deeper was to explore my work within my body, rather than all the work I had done up here in my head.
Right.
And so it was a year ago where I got to this place of having to confront that humbling truth of like, wow, I actually don't know that I really know how to take care of myself or practice self-care in an embodied way.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. And so, recognizing that for myself, my body was trying to tell me something, both physically and also like pain and signs, and so what I embarked on was this like commitment to do somatic therapy and somatic work and really uncover those hidden aspects of myself that were wanting to be healed, really.
Lovely. I love this. So is it somatic experiencing or something like that, or is it like a just a straight up body-centered therapy type of?
Kind of a mixture of everything. So that the woman that I'm working with is a physiotherapist first and foremost.
Oh.
And she's surrounded that with different somatic pieces, one of which is a Comey, and then other body-mind, links. And it's just been a beautiful experience. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so like I'm hearing that you really have enjoyed it, and I wondered, before you decided, was there any sort of, or has there been since, any kind of hurdles where putting that self-care piece first has become difficult or hard to juggle?
It really is just because it really became a must-do. Like I want to say that, when I came to this awareness, it was my step one. Like, we have a healing space in our house, and rather than identify that I'm going to meditate for an hour, I'm going to do this for, whatever length of time, I started by saying, I'm going to show up in this room every morning at 7 o'clock and do what my body wants to do. Which was this really spacious kind of invitation. And then from there, like, I did have a self-care practice in terms of getting up early, but from there, it was just this self-discovery of like, oh, what do I need right now? What do I need today? And that kind of evolved over the last year as I started to do the somatic work as well. So, and actually the somatic work, I actually saw a couple different therapists and then found this one. And then, remembering that I've done Hakomi work and somatic work with you as well years ago, so there was always kind of there. And I feel like my coaching is very body-based, even though not expressly body-based. I feel like it, yeah. So it's always been there, but it was just that embodiment piece for me. And so anyway, it's like, it's a non-starter for me. It's like, I have to start with me every day.
Right. Wow, what a commitment. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And has that impacted, in ways that you hadn't foreseen?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to make it concrete in some ways, but meditating every morning, first thing when I get up, has been I've noticed a huge difference in my everyday. It's like I can bring that practice into my everyday and every moment. There's still times where I'm very human and, go off the rails a little bit, and that's fine, but it's like that practice kind of filters into my whole day, and I can go back to that space, which is great.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, I'm hearing that the regularity of it, the consistency of it, and that you've created a space in your body that knows about that self-care and that way of being, that mindful state.
Yeah.
And so is there actually a part of the body that's more held than anywhere else?
Good question. I feel like, it's definitely like in my heart and in my solar plexus. It's those two places where I feel it the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really the knowing what it feels like to not be in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That's a really great place for me to be, and I create a lot from that place, and it helps me. But just knowing the difference.
Yeah, actually so can you tell me a bit more about that? Just a tiny bit more about what the difference might be?
Well, I guess, one of the big pieces that came from this exploration of somatic work has been this awareness that I've actually spent a lot of time out of my body. And so, I think my head, even as I say, I think my head is kind of where I found refuge of like trying to think my way through things and kind of hiding out, and my essence would be, up here. And so not being in my head and trying to come from my heart and speaking my truth, like, it really, like, the best way to describe it is it just gives you all this space, like, and freedom and this knowing that shows up. Yeah, I still get worked up about details sometimes, and how am I going to get from A to B, and what are the steps in between, and I think that's my strength in a lot of ways. But I also know that I can rest in and relax into the space of like not knowing, and drop into my heart and breathe, catch my breath and be like, you know what, it's okay. Yeah. still an everyday practice. And I think that's the funny part of it all, right? It's like, it's not a destination. We're just continually trying to, work with ourselves and get to know ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. I love how you described it. And I can relate to also to that sense of spaciousness and almost like, feeling almost like I'm one arm of a conductor, and sort of the rest of life, as I interact with it, is the other arm. And it's not all up to me, and we are in this all together, and the spaciousness piece that you talked about as well. Yeah, I really like that, and I could feel myself even get relaxed and take a breath as you were talking about it. So it was really touched something for me inside. Thanks.
And it's even become a bit of a humorous piece. Like leading up to Christmas, it was like there's things happening and things in motion that I don't even know how they happened. So it's almost like this cosmic joke. It's like the more space within me, the more possibility. And I just need to answer it all, which is really cool. Like rather than I actually couldn't have thought of how to create those opportunities and those synchronicities. And even being on this call is one of those things of like, oh, yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to fit for me, but okay, let's say yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few people have said that lately to me, not just about the retreat and being on the panel, but in their life. Like I was involved in the sort of tech hosting and video hosting on the Embodiment Conference recently, the International Embodiment Conference. And a few of the people I've talked to were like, well, everything in me was absolute no, but then I got on the phone and I heard the word yes popping out of my mouth. And it was like without any thought or any, registering like I'm about to say yes. And so I really like that. I like that, how you described that, how that experience happens. All of a sudden it's just kind of like something inside you just knows.
When you and I had a check-in at one point saying, what exactly did I say yes to? Because my body is like,
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's great for, like connection. I heard this thing the other day about connection and safety and with the body, and defining safety as not the absence of threat, but as the presence of connection. Mm-hmm. So I love that you reached out in that moment and decided to want to connect about it.
Oh yeah, because there was a part of me that was like, I'm gonna run, I can't do this.
Yeah. Okay, so today I know we're going to go into practice that around nurturing sort of ourselves with some awareness of bringing in the energy of an archetype. Yes. And that's exciting to me. I really, I've done a little bit of work with the archetypes, but I know that it's really helped me. And when I coached with you, it was really helpful for me too, because I have a really vivid imagination and I can really go into character and all that. I grew up with a lot of cousins, about 20 cousins that I led around and played with for every weekend, all day long, and really am able to get into that imaginal space. Right. And I know that can be a very healing one, so I wanted to invite people to just, bring their inner child in at the same time as we welcome in this session with you, guiding them through an awareness in the body of maybe some of those places where archetypes might show up. So I will ask you if there's any setup to this.
The only setup, which is actually really important, would be to do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable for this time together. And that might be grabbing more pillows, it might be grabbing a blanket so you're warm, it might be stopping and going to the bathroom before you start. Anything that is going to help you to be fully in this experience, maybe lighting a candle, perhaps lighting some incense, anything that is going to make your body or your being feel the most comfortable as we have this experience together.
Okay, that's great. All right, well, this is great. I'll give people a moment here to go ahead and do that, and we'll begin in just a minute.
So there we go. That was a little synopsis of how it was for Ross and looking at his own self-care. And thank you for being so candid and yeah, just courageous and sharing the nitty-gritties.
You are welcome.
And yeah, so we're going to move right into the practice. I think unless there is anyone that wanted to say anything at this point, we will be doing a breakout room afterwards where we can share some, and we might go a little bit over time with the breakout room, but usually about 8 minutes or so at the end we'll try to save to share our experience. So Ross, are you good if I turn it over to you, and have you given the host controls over to Claire? Those are my two
I
questions.
was about to give them to you, so good thing you said that right at the right moment.
Good, good.
And done. It actually feels good to release that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for covering for that.
All right. So first off, want to send thank you to Shealagh for creating this opportunity to practice self-care. And thank you to each and every one of you for showing up tonight and giving yourself an opportunity to receive. And so just going to start by inviting you to hunker down into that comfortable spot that you've created for yourself, and invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel comfortable to close your eyes, then just pick a spot that is supportive as you have this experience. And during this time together, we're going to focus on nurturing inner connection. So when we nurture those inner parts of ourselves, it creates a deeper connection with ourselves, as we experienced in that opening exercise, to have access to our core and our alignment. And when we deepen that connection with ourselves, it allows us to safely open up and nurture that connection with others. And when we feel safe with others, it allows us to open our connection and nurture our connection with the world. So it really is that inner manifestation that allows us to explore that ability to open up into the world around us. And so as we go through this journey together, I'm going to guide you through some places in your body, and I'm going to use some archetypal descriptions that help you with that process. And let's not get caught up on the words. They might not totally align with maybe what you're used to hearing, but just allow them to be a guide and a structure to support you during this experience. So taking a deep breath, loosening your jaw and allowing the breath to flow into your belly. And just relaxing into this moment. We're going to start with the archetype of the wise woman, which represents wisdom, and the magician for the masculine, which represents the wise man and the thinker. As a structure to support you, for the wise woman, you can think of a mortar and pestle. And for the magician, you might find supportive the idea of having a wand. And for these two archetypes, the energy is focused around the head. So you can imagine becoming aware of the sides of your head, the back of your head, the top of your head. And we're aligning with the crown chakra and the third eye. We're just going to take a couple minutes to nurture an experience in this part of our body. Gently staying connected with your breath, bringing gratitude to your breath, as well as the supports that guided us through that part of this journey. And bringing your attention to the archetype of the lover. It's the same for the masculine and the feminine. For the feminine, it's the energy of Eros. For the masculine, it's passion and intuition. And as a support to help you connect to this part of yourself, you might imagine a heart rock that you can either imagine holding it in your hand or put it in your pocket. And in the body, we're going to be focusing on the chest, so allowing yourself to feel the front of your chest, and also the same on your back. For the chakras, we're going to be focusing on the throat and the heart. And I invite you to feel the nurturing experience within you as you rest in this space for 2 minutes. Allowing your awareness to be supported with your breath, bringing gratitude to the archetype of the lover for supporting you through this part of your body. Now we'll welcome, for the feminine, the archetype of the mother, the energy of creation. For the masculine, the energy of the warrior. It's the place of energy and action. Supportive might be the nest or a baby in your arms for the feminine. For the masculine, imagining a sword in your hands. The experience of the mother and the warrior comes from our power center in our solar plexus, in the womb space. And allowing you to create a nurturing experience as you stay connected to your breath. Again, bringing gratitude to the archetypes of the mother and also the warrior for bringing us a felt experience of what it means to be connected to this place in our body. Dropping down in our bodies, bringing in the energies of the archetypes of the queen, which represents power, the king, which brings order, perhaps imagining the support of a throne at your back, just holding you. In our bodies, we can connect with our hips and the sacral chakra and the root chakra. And again, I invite you to nurture connection with this part of your body. Once again, bringing gratitude to our breath, as well as gratitude to the archetypes of the queen and the king for nurturing our connection deep, deep in our body. Now shifting to a place of synergy, which is allowing yourself to bring energy back to all of the archetypes you've just experienced. And imagining an alignment starting at the top of your head, gently moving down through your body into each archetypal structure. And just bring a sense of integration and allow your whole body to experience what it is to have all of these archetypal supports aligned and alive in your body. And again, taking some time to feel that nurturing experience within you. So bringing gratitude to the experience. Allowing yourself to remember anything you need to remember from this experience. Feeling your feet on the floor. Wiggling your fingers, gently returning to the space. And allowing your eyes to open.
Welcome back. Dun, 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 dun. I have brought the queenliness with me. I like props, and so they work for me. Thank you, Ross. That was really particularly integrative for me.
You're welcome.
So we are nearing the end of our hour together, and so I will invite you to stay on in a breakout room together. Really, it's just enough of us that we can stay all in one room, but to share some of the experience if you so choose, or just even to network and chat with each other on a more social way. It's also welcome. I first will say that it's been a real pleasure tonight to have Ross here and to be with all of you. I can really feel your presence with the experience. I'll share that one thing for me was I saw myself first with the sword when we were in the warrior chakra, and I was guarding over a nest of robin's eggs. So that was my experience with that. And yeah, I guess I'll just open it up for just a moment if there is someone that wants to share anything particularly poignant for them before we end the recording and that part of our session. Is there anyone that wants to share something? Juliet? Yeah, let's unmute.
I've been busy in the day for the last couple of days, and so taking that time, I became ravagingly hungry. I was like, oh, my body's really hungry, and I've been sort of preoccupied, so I'm gonna go and have some nourishment food-wise after this.
I found myself like that every evening, like without really knowing why, like really hungry, really, but in an appropriate way, not like, give me those chips.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. It makes me feel like, oh, a little normalized, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, great, Juliet. And yeah, please feel free to drop off and nurture yourself, because that's exactly the whole purpose of us being here together, is to tune into that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I did want to say again about Ross's practice. Of course, he has very generously gifted. I believe it's something free. Can you tell us a bit about that, Ross, please?
So I've gifted two things. One is a free 45-minute discovery session, which I believe you'll be providing the link for.
Yeah.
And the other is 25% off of my 6-week self-guided program, which I offer online.
Okay, awesome. Love it, because I've done that program and it really helped me sink into some of the qualities that I need to draw on. And that was what I was really significant about what you did there, was being able to draw on some qualities within us when, you know, when we need them, that we can, maybe we have only seen them in a potent way in another character, you know, some character in a film or in those archetypes. And when we want to bring them in, we can now have a sense of where they might be sourced in the body, or maybe you found them in other areas. So really that's the invitation, is to, in those moments when, you know, things are getting a little dicey, to come back to that awareness that those parts can be called on, and we can tune into that when needed. Yeah, so thanks again for being here. For those who want to drop off the call, and I'll ask the tech host, Claire Hewitt, who has been an incredible tech host for most of this entire series. Thank you, Claire Hewitt. She's amazing, and she has a lovely business called Creative Spark, Igniting the Creative Spark, which I love. I just absolutely adore, and she's helped me come and birth this whole retreat. So thank you to Claire. Yeah, and yeah, so let's stop the recording there if we can. Yeah, I think I might have some sort of